almost 500 years old. But then there are also Bibles that were written by people or by scribes who were killed because they translated them. And that is what you're told in Revelation 22:18 and 19. Our ancestral writings were never to be translated into a foreign tongue. That's what it says. You don't see that though. You don't see the word translate. You don't see that at all. You don't see the words write in a different language. But in my ancestors' writings, that's what it says in our language. The words that are used in our language literally mean in English translate, to not translate. Because to translate the document means to curse them. And that goes for any of our records. I want to show you something. When you hear the word spell, what do you think? You either think one of two things. You either think of writing words by spelling them, or you think of magic, right? Or there's another meaning for the word spell. And we're going to read that right now. Let's go to the etymology dictionary, and we're going to look at the second meaning of the word spell from the 1620s. You're going to be surprised at what it means. Because when we write things down, we spell them, right? Exactly. A turn of work in place of another. Old English Gospelia, a substitute, which is what your gospel is. Surprise. And what's very interesting about one of the explanations they provide here, it says interval of rest or relaxation, which took the word to a sense that was the opposite of what it had at the start. So originally it did not mean rest and relaxation. It meant something else, the opposite. Work without rest. In other words, violation of what? Shabuat, which they call the Sabbath. Now something else that's interesting, it says here, spell, right? A fable. So they already told you in the second definition, spell, a turn of work in place of another, a substitution, Gospelia. Yes, Gospelia and gospel, you can really dig deep and see that they are the same words. That's your gospel. A substitute. Remember I said that Christianity itself, that's what it is. It was supposed to replace us. And that the word anti in Greek means instead of and to replace. A substitution. I said that in my other videos. But here we learn something even more. Spelling. Casting of spells. And it says here a fable. You know what a fib is? It means to tell a lie. Do you know that the word fib and fable are from the same root? Okay, look at the second one. A fib, a lie, especially a little one, a white lie, perhaps from fibble and fable, nonsense, a reduplication of fable. Exactly. And that's what you have in the translated version of our writings. A fib, especially the New Testament. So what the evil, wicked scribes did was take our original writings, they translated them to their unclean tongue and gave you that version. Now let's go back to Revelation where we were just reading. Now if you guys are really thinking, okay, if you're really putting that brain of yours through some workouts, you should be saying, well, okay, but I don't see anywhere in Revelation 22:18 or 19 where it literally says you can't translate the writings. Oh, that's because you're looking at the wrong thing. Let's look in verse 19, and we're just going to read maybe like the first 6 or 7 words. And if anyone takes away from the words of this book, and those are your key terms right there, but there's more. I testify to everyone who hears the words of the prophecy in this book. If anyone adds to them, the Most High will add to them the plagues or curses described in this book. Those are the terms you should have been listening for, or looking for, I should say. Taking away and adding to. Do you know what it means? Before we look at it, I'm going to read from a verse you're very familiar with, I'm sure. Now keep in mind there was no one called Jesus. That's a fake phony name, which means pig and swine. These are our writings written by our people to us and about us. Okay, that warn us about what happened in the past and how not to repeat those mistakes so that we can lift ourselves up out of this mess our ancestors put us in, and a mess we've kept ourselves in. Matthew 23:15. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! You encompass sea and land to make one convert, and when they are made, you make them twofold more the child of Gehenna than yourselves. So listen, the word that I want to focus on is scribes, because he said, woe to you, scribes. If you look up the meaning of the word scribe, you're going to see something benign. But that's who translated our writing. Add to, take away from. Now you're going to find out that translating our writings means to curse the writings themselves, as well as scribing them. The only ones who are supposed to deal with our writings are